SMT Nation, we back. A bit of a longer episode today, so I will definitely give you guys the links in the description for the articles we're going over. Plus, I'm also going to give you chapters so you can jump back and forth and skip ahead and get to the things that you want to hear about and my commentary as well as the stuff from the article. So, first piece of news. Verizon Network still perceived as number 1 according to a Cowen survey. This is dated from today, October 18th. Linda Hardesty, the author, Fierce Wireless. Every quarter, Cowen conducts a survey of wireless subscribers, and for its new 3Q, or third quarter report, based on results, Cowen found that Verizon is still holding on to the number 1 spot, being perceived as the carrier with the best 5G. And if I remember correctly, folks, Verizon's been ahead since the onset and launch of 5G. I remember them being in the 40 percentage area, like 40, 43, and then they've lost some of that luster over time, it looks like. Okay, so to follow up on this, it says here that Verizon having the 5G network 38% compared to T-Mobile's 30% and AT&T's 32%. Verizon's 5G perception did fall from 41% in the prior survey. So that little bit of a swing, where's it going? If Verizon is losing a few percentage points, a little bit to T-Mobile and a little bit to AT&T. The quote here is network perception continues to lag reality. Verizon hopes to keep it that way as it feverishly tries to close the gap on T-Mobile's network leadership. Now, the network leadership in 5G is about 5G coverage. It's not really about 5G reliability. All right. So, kind of two different things here. All right. Now, let's take a look at the report as it's been conducted for the last several quarters. So, we're now in Q3 of 2022, and this was first conducted back in Q4 of 19. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've got 6 collections of data. Respondents used to say, this is Q4 2019, Verizon 47%. Verizon is down to 38%. One could conclude that there is likely a perception change. Perhaps there are elements and locations where the Verizon 5G network is not the most reliable, and that would reflect the percentage decreasing. I think that is probably the case because we are hearing some people report, while whether or not it's an anecdotal situation or it's situational, regional, whatever, we do hear grumblings of people being disgruntled and upset with the performance of the 5G network from Verizon. I think that's what we're seeing here, right? And it's a gradual decrease. And who's to say that it won't be 36% or 35% the next time they do the survey, right? It could continue. Who knows? You will see that the T-Mobile is the light colored one. They started at 20% at the time of the report with 5G launch. They went up to 23% while they were both in operation as T-Mobile and with Sprint operating. So they improved their percentage or perception. Then they consumed Sprint and they jumped up to 31%. And then since then, folks, they have lost percentages. They went from 31% to 29, from 29 to 30, and then 30 flat with 30. Now, this is not anything notable. To go from 31 to 30 as a net is not really a big deal. I don't think that's anything substantial. But who is garnering a substantial improvement is AT&T. They've gone from 25% at launch, Q4 19, to 26 to 28, a little bit of a dip to 27, right? And then 29 and now 32. I would say that the AT&T piece is a collection of two things: decommissioning old LTE spectrum and refarming it for 5G, widening their low-band 5G channels, thus improving the capacity on those low-band channels, and then also building out their C-band. I think that's the recipe that has given AT&T some improvements. Also, the fact that more and more customers are adopting more modern 5G smartphones in the case of like the iPhone 13 and 14, in which the modem technologies are better, right? So moving on from the likes of the iPhone 12, moving on from the first generation Galaxies, right? 5G. So like the S10s and the S20s of the world, these newer modems are just so much better. All right. So T-Mobile relatively flat for like the last few quarters. Verizon losing inch by inch, and then AT&T gaining. So look at the direction they're moving in, folks. We're probably a couple of quarters away, if things continue in this path, to where we have 5G reliability parity, right? If AT&T continues in their trend, do they end up at 34%? If T-Mobile continues in their trend, do they lay flat, maybe gain a percent, maybe, I don't know, 31%? And then does Verizon continue to lose a little bit? Do they end up at 36%, 35%? Regardless, we'll monitor this. Remember, this is perception. This is not any type of scientific study. There's no, device testing here and data collected from crowdsourced apps. This is a perception survey. All right, so T-Mobile maintaining its number 2 spot, Verizon maintaining number 1, AT&T, uh, T-Mobile losing the spot to now AT&T, right? So they've kind of switched places. We shall see what happens. We'll continue to watch this. There's another piece of thing, a figure here. All right, figure 28. It says subscribers choose AT&T for unlimited data plans, but a mix of reasons. Verizon, the customers are choosing for the network, and then T-Mobile, Sprint, they are choosing for the price. This is pretty much what we've been telling people for a long time here on the SMT YouTube channel. AT&T offers flexibility with mix and match. They've got the best device promos, and their plans offer great perks and benefits, especially when they used to have the Unlimited Elite, which came with HBO Max. Verizon has always been, their legacy has always been their network. It's always been reliability, availability, coverage. Can you hear me now? That was always their thing. And then with T-Mobile, it's the price. They've always been price competitive. Same thing with like the legacy of Sprint. They were always the better option for pricing. You get the most lines for the least amount of money. All right. And that continues to be the case. It says here, price as the main reason for wanting to leave at all big three wireless carriers. Okay, so this is a little bit nuanced, right, folks? I'm going to see if I could zoom in just a smidge, just because I want to take a look at some of these factors. Number one thing is still better price, and it's not even close. The percentages are in the 40s. So AT&T 40%, T-Mobile 43%, 44%, Verizon 43%. Better price. If you're leaving for a better price. Notice that the percentage is highest for T-Mobile and Verizon. AT&T is the lowest when it comes to price. So people are thinking about some other things. Network quality, 17% at Verizon, so they're number one there. Customers will leave for a better network experience. So it seems like the Verizon wireless customer, the mind frame, the mindset is get on the best network. So if it happens to be T-Mobile, you'll leave Verizon for T-Mobile. If it happens to be AT&T, you'll leave Verizon for AT&T. Coverage is an important factor. You guys will see it there. For Verizon, almost 11%. For T-Mobile, it's 12.5%. And then for AT&T, it is over 20%. So there's that piece, right? Let's see what else we got here. We got customer service. Okay, so that was the customer service piece, or was it? Oh, it was unlimited data plan. Okay. That's why the AT&T percentage is so high. 21% for an unlimited data plan. Unlimited data plan is not that important to Verizon customers. They're still holding on to those old bucket plans. Let's see here. Anything else notable? That's a pretty interesting one. Anyways, folks, this is no surprise to us. Friend of the channel, been on the show a million times on the podcast. Roger Etner, Recon Analytics, has been saying these things for eons. He continues to preach price as being the most important thing according to his data and his surveys. And reliability, dependability, coverage, all those things important, but the plans as well, right? Needing value. His data looks just like this, right? He's shared that with us many, many, many times. The conclusions look just like this. So, no surprises. Those are the takeaways. What do you guys think? Comment down below. Next piece of news, and actually, I'm going to have to zoom out, fix this. Okay. Wireless subscriber pool increases. Other hot topics, Q3 earnings. So, for those of you that watch all the content here on the channel, earnings season are always a big time here on the channel. We do podcasts and live streams, and we do update videos, news videos on what's going on with earnings. AT&T and Verizon last quarter earnings took a beating after the second quarter. I think for AT&T it was the financials. For Verizon it was the lackluster gross ads or net ads. They just simply didn't have it. They had losses. It appears that their churn rate is spiking this quarter. That was kind of predicted. We already got word from Hans, the CEO of Verizon, that they're going to be losing customers. The churn rate is going to be up. They'll be net negative, and that's going to continue through Q4. So who's growing? Well, AT&T is growing, and T-Mobile's growing, and so is big cable. But in the process, folks, AT&T's stock since last quarter, 21% down. They must get their financial situation under control. Clearly, the investor wants them to address their incredible debt. They just have to start paying it down. And, the revenues are healthy, but they're not paying down. They've got an incredible yield that they pay a dividend. Maybe that's something to explore. I don't know. However, they handle their financials. Verizon is down 17%. The market as a whole is down 7%. So they're outpacing the market in terms of loss, right? So the market is down 7%. They're down, you know, double or triple, okay, especially with AT&T. Meanwhile, T-Mobile's up 4% in that time frame, right? So they've held pretty strong. They're doing it on the back of growth in fixed wireless, some slight improvements in like free cash flow and their financials. They're doing T-Mobile things, right? Growth above all else, and growth in fixed wireless, growth in mobile. They continue to add customers, so we continue to see this. Actually, speaking of friend of the channel, Roger Etner and Recon Analytics, he claims that the carriers are looking to add customers in a very unique way. Currently, accounts are adding lines to provide lines of service to their little kids. All right. 15% of American 6-year-olds have a cell phone. Folks, 6-year-olds, what is that? First grade, right? My little one's that age. And they're starting to get phones. They're getting smartphones. They're getting iPhones. Those are adding lines to accounts. It says here, survey conducted at the end of August, percentage had shot up to 33% of 6-year-olds. So it's more than doubled. That's 600,000 kids. The police didn't let worried parents know if their children would. Okay, so it's speaking to the crisis that happened in Texas. Ender said, we also asked who gets their kid a cell phone by the end of the year. That number goes up to 50%. So is the magic number 7 years old? So that means there are a bunch of new customers on the precipice of getting on networks. And, if that's an easy sell for a line. Other things to consider, key topics for Q3 earnings: inflation, how it's affecting subscriber growth. We'll see how that plays out. Obviously, it treats each carrier a little bit differently. T-Mobile will tell you they're loving the switcher pool. They're adding customers. AT&T is adding. Verizon is not. They're adding through cable. Discounts and promotions on iPhone 14. I alluded to this earlier. AT&T is doing the most. Free iPhones for new and existing customers. T-Mobile attracts switcher pool, right? So they're involved with those promotions. And then, of course, fixed wireless access. That's going to be more specific to Verizon and T-Mobile, not so much AT&T. But that does impact cable as well. All right, so price hikes, administrative fees. We'll see if they explore more of that nonsense. Customers are probably going to be pushing back as that continues to be a problem. The carriers are obviously going to be downsizing their companies, trying to reduce payroll. They should probably do that before they start hitting the customers again with price hikes. All right, that's going to get a lot of pushback for sure. They're always trying to automate. They're always trying to downsize. So that's happening. Fixed wireless access. Look for T-Mobile to have a big quarter. I think 600,000 net ads for fixed wireless access for T-Mobile is a slam dunk. I would be surprised if they went beyond 650,000, but it's possible, I suppose. I don't know, maybe 600, 620, 630,000. They're getting good growth, folks. It's selling. Remember, they want to be to 7 to 8 million by 2025. Verizon wants to be at 4 to 5 million in fixed wireless access by 2025. I think those are conservative estimates. They can definitely get there. Unless cable decides to shut it all down and start selling their home cable options for half the price. But we'll see what happens. Uh, um, for Verizon, I think Verizon adds like 200,000. I think that'll work out nicely for them. I don't know if they're ever going to report churn at Verizon or T-Mobile for their fixed wireless access, because big cable doesn't report churn. So they'll be like, why do we have to report churn? Anyways, give me your predictions for the quarter. I've kind of made mine already. I think you're going to have negative growth, losses for Verizon. Churn rate's going to be the highest it's ever been. For AT&T, you're going to see a lot of growth. I think, 6 and 700,000 net adds is easy. Maybe the iPhone launch helps them a little bit, boost them up slightly. So maybe 750,000. Probably total net connections, it'll probably go over a million. For T-Mobile, I think they'll settle in around 500,000, 550,000 net adds. I think fixed wireless access, they crush it, 600,000. That's kind of how I think it's going to happen. And then for Verizon, again, losses in mobile, but for fixed wireless, I think they had 200,000. That's just my predictions. For Dish, we're still waiting on a nationwide launch. Nothing really matters until they do that. But what do you guys say? What are your predictions for Q3? How do you think things will go? Positive, negative, for whom, how, that type of thing. And then the network perception piece. Long episode, but I got all the timestamps for you guys. Thanks for hanging around and watching. Like, share, subscribe for more. Turn on the bell notification icon to never miss an upload. Links in the description for my Patreon, my Twitter, my Gmail address for business inquiries. And don't forget, I have a channel membership option if you want to join and support your creators and then get early access to content and other types of exclusives, perks, and add-ons. You can do that. Just hit join and support us. Thanks so much for those considerations. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.